Here's a tip for my fellow golfers and gamers. Do you want to book a golf trip to Vegas? For the best weather, aim for spring and fall. But the best prices, aim for summer and winter. But if you're looking for that sweet spot, try June. You get the August prices without that scorching heat. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
We know what Chris Sale can bring. I was personally high on Schwallenbach. Smith-Shawver, their other starter, looks okay to kind of bad. They need to I don't want to say tread water, so I think that puts it in a bad light, but that's what they ultimately need to do. They need to tread water until Strider gets back, until Acuna gets back, and maybe it's just part of the team morale mentality that we're not at full strength, we need to kick things into gear once those guys get here.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
11 times now without a major, 14 times at the Masters. He finally has the green jacket. Rory McIlroy.
The best sporting event so far this year. It's better than Super Bowl. It was better than the NCAA tournament. It had ups and downs. It had roller coaster rides. It had history, legacies. It had everything you could ever possibly want.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC. That is King Ty Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweight.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on
Live right here on this Wednesday on the early line on SportsGrid. We welcome you to our second hour here all across the SportsGrid network. He is Donnie right side. I am Ben Stevens. Up until 11 a.m. Eastern time. 2 more hours to go in this second hour. A lot of play-in tourney coverage with our coach, J.Y. James Young. What we saw last night on a Tuesday in our 7-8 splits to open up the NBA postseason, what it means for the opening round of the playoffs, and of course, 2 more games to come on this Wednesday night. The 9-10 battles in California's capital. That's the Sacramento Kings hosting the Dallas Mavericks inside the United Center. It's the Chicago Bulls and the Miami Heat. A lot of NFL draft and NFL news and notes conversation here as well. DRS to start off this second hour, just over a week away from the 2025 NFL Draft. A week from tomorrow, it all begins.
Yeah, it does, and we're excited for it. We'll see how that top 5 sort of boils out. 2 quarterbacks go in the top 5. There's 1 quarterback fall down the list at that point, but Green Bay, Wisconsin will be the place to be to watch that play out on a Thursday night spectacular here at the SportsGrid Network for round number 1. But for me tonight, the NBA is going to be decent again. Heat Bulls, we'll watch that game. We'll all fall asleep and wake up to see how the Mavericks and the Kings did, because that's the way the NBA likes it. If 3 people can watch that game out there on the West Coast, yay, must be good enough for the ratings.
Yeah, maybe it is, DRS. A thriller last night out on the West Coast, of course, in San Francisco. But we get everybody caught up if you are going to be in bed early on a Thursday morning on the early line, as we did today on this Wednesday. And another full slate around Major League Baseball with a ton of afternoon baseball, some day games to preview as well. All right, Donnie, let's start with the National Football League, though. Some news and notes and some big headlines around the sport. Again, as we have shared, the 2025 NFL Draft just over a week away. 8 days from now, opening night, opening round in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And the guy we expect to go number 2 overall, our reigning Heisman winner in Travis Hunter, who, of course, won the Heisman Trophy because he was sensational and historic on both sides of the football as a wide receiver and a lockdown cornerback for Colorado this past year in 2024. Now, Donnie, as for his future in the NFL as a two-way star, we'll see exactly how NFL teams and organizations hope to slot him in. But for Travis Hunter, he's pretty steadfast in the idea that he can still be elite on both sides of the ball. In fact, even saying when asked if a team told him, hey, you're only going to play as a wide receiver or as a cornerback, Travis Hunter said if that's the case, then he's not playing football at all.
Yeah, that doesn't. Again, I need to hear like the in-depth details. Does this mean like, okay, coach, I'm going to be full-time on defense, but let me run like 3 or 4 routes in a game on offense, and I'm good? Because the one thing he's never going to do in the NFL, I don't care how much he says it, it doesn't make any sense to play both ways full-time. Because understand this, in the NFL, it's not Major League Baseball. It's not basketball. Hey, play offense and defense in basketball. The concussions, the injuries, the wear and tear. Nobody's going to do that to a superstar player like himself. Because understand this, if you're just a defensive back, can you get injured? Yes. If you're just a wide receiver, can you get injured? Yes. But you know what you can't do? Play on both sides of the football if you get injured at all in that football game. They'll find ways to use his unique skill talent. There's no doubt about it. But I don't understand the grandstanding as if it's like, a simple answer is like, Travis, do you want to play both ways? Absolutely. I'll do whatever that team asks me to do. I would love to play both ways. Travis, what if they said, you're too important to us, we want you to play defense? I'll do the same thing, whatever it is to win a football game. Instead of the stance of, well, if I go to the organization, I don't get what I want, I'm just going to retire from football altogether. When you know he's not doing that. Like, I don't understand why you pick these battles before you even get drafted. There's simple answers you tell the media and the teams of what you want to do. There's not, don't draft me if I'm not playing 100% on both sides of the football, I'll retire. I don't understand this.
Yeah, I don't really either, DRS. Obviously, Travis Hunter has the belief in himself. I'll just say this. As a wide receiver, he's really good. He's not NFL caliber. As a cornerback, he is a lockdown guy that I think could be a game changer on that side of the field. Now, should he be involved in offensive sets? Should he have a couple of special plays in an offensive scheme, especially for the Browns? Sure. I'm okay with that. Get him the football because of how outstanding a playmaker he is. But I think his benefit for going this high in the NFL draft, DRS, is not because he is a two-way superstar. It's because he is just an absolute football stud and an elite lockdown corner on the defensive side of the football. 713 offensive snaps for Hunter in 2024. 748 defensive snaps for Travis Hunter and CU in 2024. 1,461 in total. The first player, DRS, since the 2017 college football season to play at least 250 snaps on either side of the football, and he played more than 700 on either side. There was obviously the natural conversation, well, can his body hold up if he were to do even anything close to it in the National Football League? I don't even think that's part of it. I just think it's how he can be best utilized in the NFL. Travis can say all he wants. He might get a couple of offensive plays. If you're drafting him second overall, as the Browns are projected to do, you think of him as a playmaker and a special talent, but you're drafting him that high because he is an elite lockdown quarterback, of which he is.
Exactly. You can. I mean, he would be a viable NFL wide receiver just to just go that route as opposed to even play defense. But the point is, and we see it in the past, and also his coach Deion Sanders did it perfectly with the Dallas Cowboys. An elite, best of the world competition cornerback, no doubt about it. But he was making plays even in the Super Bowl as a wide receiver against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Packages will be out there. They can utilize his talents, a kick return here, a punt return there, play great defense, and away you go in your career and have an extended career. Nobody wants you playing 150 snaps in an NFL game, taking that beating. You won't make it past week 5.
Yeah, I completely agree, Donnie. And I don't think the Browns would allow that to be the case. I also don't think Travis Hunter is an idiot, and I do not believe Travis Hunter would walk away from football if Cleveland said, you're not our wide receiver 3 as we get ready for 2025. Minus 310 for Travis Hunter to be that second overall pick. But we'll Travis Hunter has also said he wants Roger Goodell when he is introduced, when his pick is announced at some point a week from tomorrow, to be said, Travis Hunter, you know, as they give you your quarterback, Cam Ward, quarterback, Miami. He wants to be said, Travis Hunter, wide receiver, cornerback, Colorado. We'll see if that happens either.
Yeah, I don't mind that because he should get snaps on both sides of the football, but it just sounds like, hey, my demands coming in are, I'm going to pick and choose. But you know what? I want to see your offensive playbook and your defensive playbook before you draft me. That's what it sounds like at this point. And again, there's a lot of bluster from a Heisman Trophy winning, player, which as it should be, but it's just kind of interesting like that hill, as opposed to saying like, I want to play both ways. I hope they let me play it too. If they don't, I'll take my ball and go home. No, you won't.
Yeah, no, you absolutely will not. We had the big news yesterday, of course, for Travis Hunter's Colorado teammate, Shedeur Sanders. The Giants and Sanders holding one final private workout together on a Thursday in Boulder. The Giants will also get other final looks, DRS, at Jalen Milroe and Tyler Shuck, as we shared yesterday. Milroe, not exactly in consideration to be that third overall pick, but the Giants do have the second pick of the second round if they looked at a quarterback following round number 1.
Yeah. I'm honestly surprised that they didn't get another look at Daniel Jones. You know what? Remember Daniel Jones got called for an individual workout and threw a couple 5-yard outs that's our guy. And they go, wait. We drafted him a couple years ago. He's not our guy. But did you see him in shorts and a T-shirt? He can ball out. Enough with the Giants.
Yeah, I completely agree, DRS. If you do not know already, you do not never know. And if you don't have a plan how to shape your franchise with a quarterback in the future, you are doing yourself a disservice. We'll continue to talk the NFL and some early Major League Baseball plays for this Wednesday. Next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Just over a week away from the 2025 NFL Draft. Some more NFL news and notes, of course, DRS, as we get to certain stages in the NFL offseason calendar. When you have these big marquee events, some of those headlines start to ramp up just a little bit. For the Miami Dolphins, what exactly is their plan this offseason under Mike McDaniel? Very high optimism in the last few years to be a playoff team, to be a playoff contender. They were not this previous season. And what exactly is going to happen moving forward? The Miami Dolphins are exploring, along with Jalen Ramsey, some potential trade destinations for the 30-year-old all-pro cornerback, but they are not all that interested in trading Tyreek Hill at this moment. DRS, as we shared in our opening segment to start off hour number one, the Finns kind of thought of in this limbo situation entering 2025. Win total 8.5 for Miami. The under has the juice. Around a 500 mediocre team. That's what we're expecting.
Yeah, the vibes aren't high there. Mike McDaniel might be one of those coaches that it's like, hey, you know what? This could be your last year down there, and a lot of pressure on his coaching shoulders as well. But it does look like a fire sale. This is usually one of the trades that's supposed to pop up in the middle of the night. Like, wow, man, they traded Jalen Ramsey. What did they get back for him? When you are the general manager at the podium of a press conference, basically like, yeah, look, give us a phone call. We don't want him here. He doesn't want to be here. We'll help him out and get him out of town. So I don't know if somebody's going to think they're getting a steal because they're going to get a high-level football player with a high-level paycheck at that point. And what's the motivation here on yet another team for Jalen Ramsey? That's what I'd worry about. But more of the focus is on one of the more talented teams in the AFC over the past couple of years, the Miami Dolphins. They're not getting any bang for their buck, whether it's regular season, playoffs, talent level, whatever it might be. So, yeah, I don't want to say I'm out on the Miami Dolphins, but it's not one of those teams I'm intrigued by so far. No way.
About to be year number 4 under Mike McDaniel. Playoff appearances in his first 2 years and not a playoff win. Miami has not won a playoff game since the wild card round of the 2000 NFL season. Nothing that's happening right now makes you feel all that much more confident the Finns are going to figure it out and change that 25-year streak this upcoming season. Tyron Smith, one of the greatest to ever do it as a left tackle in the National Football League in recent memory, signing a one-day deal, DRS, with the Dallas Cowboys to retire as a Cowboy after 14 NFL seasons. A sign of the time for those Cowboys offensive linemen, because we also know Zach Martin retired earlier this offseason. A new era for Dallas up front.
Yeah, what a monster left tackle and such a good player throughout his time with the Dallas Cowboys. But as we know with the Cowboys, they've had a lot of really good football players since 1995 that haven't won anything here. Not necessarily his fault, but you can look back at his career certainly fondly. One of the best left tackles during his decade plus in the NFL.
Spent last year with the New York Jets, only playing in 10 games. His first 13 years in Dallas, thus the ceremonial one-day contract to retire a Cowboy. An 8-time Pro Bowler, a 2-time first-team AP All-Pro. All right, some Major League Baseball action on this Wednesday, DRS, and some day baseball to get ready for as well. All 30 clubs in action, a 15-game full slate on this Wednesday, and a huge, huge moment for the Atlanta Braves today in Toronto. Spencer Strider makes his return in his season debut for Atlanta. They're a road favorite up in the 6 against the Blue Jays. What can we expect out of Spencer Strider making his season debut in 2025?
Yeah, that's the tough part. The one thing that we do like is we saw his evolution here, getting those warm-up starts down in spring training and or in the minor league baseball system, and Strider looked every bit the part. But also understand this, Schwellenbach came in good form yesterday, going up against that Toronto Blue Jays roster. Didn't look all that great yesterday, and against a lineup that you can basically have right now because Toronto hasn't been a great hitting lineup. Strider doesn't have any statistics. Last year, only 42 batters faced. You are expecting a good performance also, but is he on a pitch count at this point, which we'll probably get a feel for a little bit later in the day. Opposite side, Chris Bassett last year had an average season, 73 batters he's faced this season. Just trying to take a look to see where Bassett actually winds up today on the card. Actually, take a look at this. 25 pitchers on the card today with at least, one start this season so far. 7.04 is the xFIP of the worst guy on the card. It's Patrick Corbin. The best guy with his xFIP through 18 and a third innings, it's actually Chris Bassett at 2.63 today. So 2 pitchers here. You're expecting a good performance out of Strider. Bassett has been solid so far this year. So why not an under of the 7.5 in this game between the Braves and the Blue Jays in the return of Spencer Strider?
Yeah, yesterday we did see some runs, as DRS shared. Spencer Schwellenbach, who in 3 starts and 20 innings of work had only allowed 1 earned run entering yesterday's outing against the Blue Jays, responsible for all 6 runs Toronto did score. Also, not just day baseball, but the rubber match of this 3-game set. For Spencer Strider, 5.5 is the K-prop. The over has the juice. He looked great in minor league starts. He looked great in spring training for Atlanta. Just 2 starts early last year, DRS. before an elbow injury sidelined him for the remainder of 2024. He did enter the 2024 season as that opening day favorite to win the National League Cy Young Award. We'll see what he has for a Braves team still stuck on just 5 wins, 5-12 this season. Another return to a starting staff for Clark Schmidt. He gets the nod today for the Yankees, and the Yankees outside of Max Fried need some help in that starting rotation as well. The Yanks hoping for the sweep against the Kansas City Royals, as today at home they're a -154 favorite against KC. Not a ton of offense so far for the Royals this week up in the Bronx. Jason Dominguez doing what he can for the Yankees yesterday as they beat the Royals 4-2. Over-under stands at 8.5. Donnie, what's your thought for Schmidt's debut in this matchup today in the Bronx?
Yeah, 48 degrees at first pitch, 12-mile-an-hour wind blowing out to right field, which you do like that. But Chris Bubic has been very good on the season this year. 18 and 2/3 innings pitched. How about an ERA under 1 and an xFIP number of 298? Now, here's where push comes to shove. You look at that Yankees lineup that's going to settle up tonight. They have been absolutely sensational with their power numbers against left-handed pitching. Goldschmidt, 286 ISO. Rice, 300. Judge, 722. Bellinger, 231. Volpe, 304. Chisholm, 167. Wells, 250. Grisham, 273. Just to go over 8 of the 9 starters in that lineup today. You flip it over to the other side and say, okay, Clark Schmidt, you're going to trust him in his first start. This is also a team against right-handed pitching, talking about the Royals, that hasn't got untracked yet in 2025 yet. I hate to do an under in the Bronx, but was yesterday, maybe again today.
It's been in the first 2 games of this 3-game set. More around MLB next.
Fantasy baseball. Let's be honest, George. There's a lot of things antiquated about this game that we love. Man, like I would love to try some new little wrinkles here. And so for Sam's question here on the show, I think it's at least fair to ask the question with catchers in fantasy baseball. And sometimes we're playing in 2 catcher leagues. Why at this stage of the game? I have no idea. If you're still doing it, you're behind in the times. Buy or sell, catchers should get a fantasy point for throwing out runners trying to steal. So essentially awarding a defensive play to get an offensive point in fantasy. You gonna buy or sell this?
I mean, so this never even crossed my mind. I hate the catcher position because they get hurt so much. You play in a 2-catcher league, I don't know what to tell you. You know, it's like, what are we doing here? There are not 24, assuming a 12-team league, there are not 24 catchers to draft in baseball. There's just not. Although I'm the first person to tell you, Herrera's probably out there in a bunch of leagues there because we didn't see that power coming. Should he get a point? I think if you're going to do this, by the way, why a point? What are you throwing out? 1, 2 base runners a week? It's 2 points. Who cares? You know, should it be more? I mean, if we're going to do this, should we do it right? Should it be 5 points? You know, so I would probably go that direction. If you're going to do it right. Give it more points. And by the way, then let's go further. You make an error, you're losing points. No one gets an error anymore. All right, if you get an error, it means you really screwed up. I was watching that Yankee-Pittsburgh game yesterday because I think it was who cares? Somebody hit the ball hard to Isaiah Khalifa at shortstop. He didn't have to move, but he dropped it. They called it a hit because he hit the ball hard with 3-hopper. Oh, hard hit, error. So let's do that too. So yeah, I'm kind of on board with this, but you need more than one. It can't just be a point that's meaningless. You need more than one.
Fantasy sports today. Weekends starting at 8 a.m. Only on SportsGrid.
A couple of returns today on the bump. Spencer Strider makes his season debut after an elbow injury put him on the shelf. Only 2 starts into 2024 a year ago. He starts today for the Braves on the road in Toronto. Clark Schmidt makes his return. 16 starts last year for the Yankees, a 2.85 ERA. Donnie, it's a good news for the Yanks, of course, who during spring training dealt with some bad injury news. Garrett Cole out for the year.
Yeah.
Giancarlo Stanton hasn't played just yet. Clark Schmidt on the shelf. He is back today. The Yankees looking for a 3-game sweep over the Kansas City Royals. And oh, by the way, really Max Fried yesterday off to a 3-0 start now as the newest New York Yankee with a 1.88 ERA. He's the only guy in the starting rotation this year for the Yanks with a sub-5 ERA to begin. Good news to get Clark Schmidt back. The San Diego Padres home win streak to start the year is snapped at 11. Yesterday in extras in 10 innings, the Chicago Cubs hand the Padres their first home L of the season, 2-1, courtesy of a game-winning RBI triple from Nico Horner in extras. Can San Diego get back in the win column at home? Some day baseball at Petco. It's the Padres and the Cubbies in San Diego. An ever so slight favorite, -122 on that money line. Total stands at 7.5. What do you like here in the rubber match today in San Diego?
You take a look at those 7.5s, identical to what you saw last night, which easily stayed on the under, and also that game went into extra innings. Pitching, Pivetta is on the mound today. Why do we bring that up? 17 innings so far on this young season for Pivetta. How about a 1.59 ERA, which actually is translating to a 2.96 xFIP, which is really, really good. You look at the lineup today, or at least the anticipated lineup for the Chicago Cubs, Tucker, Bush, Crow Armstrong, and Miguel Amaya have very good statistics, ISO power number, and power-wise with weighted on base percentages against right-handed pitching. The rest leaves a little bit to be desired. You flip it over to the other side, Boyd, who comes into this game with decent statistics also through his 17 innings pitched, a 1.59 ERA, but a slightly elevated xFIP number of 4.22. You look at the lineup, however, for the Padres, it doesn't face all that much left-handed pitching and hasn't done all of that all well. So a day game out there at Petco, which usually the ball travels a little bit better than at night, I'm still going to lean on the under 7.5 like we saw last night. Two decent pitchers, two lineups that don't present themselves all that well. I don't know if we get to 8 runs, therefore I'll lean undersize.
Yeah, a big bounce-back win last night, DRS, for your Philadelphia Phillies. Bryce Harper, JT Realmuto really leading the offensive charge for the Phils to even up their midweek set against the San Francisco Giants today inside Citizen Bank Ballpark. We've got Aaron Nola on the mound for the Phils against Robbie Ray and SF, -146 in favor of Philadelphia. Total stands at 7.5. What's the play in Philly?
Yeah, trusting Aaron Nola in this spot tonight might be a little bit of a danger zone. Why? You take a look at him on the season through his 16 2/3 innings pitched, or 16 1/3 innings pitched, about a 5.50 ERA. Not very good, but his xFIP is much lower at 3.63. You take a look at that San Francisco lineup today as it looks. Willie Adames and Patrick Bailey, only ones that are underperforming against right-handed pitching. Everybody else has really good numbers, and that should help. Now, the old wild card of this one is going to be Robbie Ray, because you look at his statistics through 15 1/3 innings pitched. He's got a low ERA at 2.93, but an xFIP of 5.44. Why? Because he's pretty wild. He walks a lot of batters. He does have some strikeout numbers against left-handed batters, but against righties hasn't done all that well. However, you take a look at Schwarber with great numbers against lefties, that neutralizes. Castellanos, the only positive batter against left-handed pitching for the Philadelphia Phillies in that lineup today. Hate to do it. Like, the game went over yesterday, and this, San Francisco's got a pretty good lineup looking today. I think the Phillies do win, because I don't think Robbie Ray is really up to the competition as he was just a few years back. But at the same time, probably looking for an under again in Philadelphia with that low total of 7.5.
Yeah, DRS, these two teams have split the opening 2 games of this midweek set. Today, not the rubber match. There will be a 4th game come tomorrow on a Thursday. Really our last time to break down the MLB card on this Wednesday, DRS. Do any other games really stick out to you?
No, I haven't really handicapped the card overall that much. Just looking at some of those pitching matchups where you're trying to factor in, like, the Robbie Rays or the bad pitchers we just took a look at, Patrick Corbin, Bryce Miller. Yesterday was a really good card to sort of knock around pitchers, and they did that. But there's still a good 10 pitchers today with an xFIP around 4 or higher, so some things we can chew on. But again, we're talking about 15, 16, 10 innings for most of these pitchers. We got a long way to go before you can actually balance those statistics out. But it's nice to see afternoon Major League Baseball action. So all the way through today, we'll be having fun and certainly handicapping those as we go.
Yeah, 5 games in the afternoon hours in their respective spots. The Brewers and the Tigers in Milwaukee. The Twins host the New York Mets in Minnesota. The Cardinals and the Astros. And as we shared, the Padres and the Cubs. That's at 4:11 p.m. Eastern time, but of course, around 1 p.m. Pacific time. The coach, Jay White, joins us for some play-in tourney action next. Who else? Who can maybe provide a test? Who can maybe be a challenger and a contender elsewhere around the Eastern Conference?
Top 2 is going to be a runaway. But I guess if I had to choose, Ben, it's going to be the Knicks. At least they have the talent to somehow upset teams that are better than them, but they can't in the regular season. Maybe it changes in the playoffs.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
We know what Chris Sale can bring. I was personally high on Schwallenbach. Smith-Shawver, their other starter, looks okay to kind of bad. They need to I don't want to say tread water, so I think that puts it in a bad light, but that's what they ultimately need to do. They need to tread water until Strider gets back, until Acuna gets back, and maybe it's just part of the team morale mentality that we're not at full strength, need to kick things into gear once those guys get here.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
They have already decided, it would appear to me, from what you're telling me, that they're satisfied with the quarterback room as it stands now.
Shedeur Sanders does not have the value to go at number 3. I know they need a quarterback. It's about this season with Russell Wilson, okay? No question he's going to be the starter. Winston will back him up. But the future they can get next year.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on this Wednesday morning on the Early Line on SportsGrid. I am Ben. Donnie, of course, is here now, joined by the coach, JY James Young, to recap a Tuesday night in the play-in tournament, what it means now for the opening round of the NBA playoffs, and, of course, to end out this second hour, an early look at our doubleheader of play-in tourney action on this Wednesday. JY, as always, we appreciate the time. Thank you for being here as the NBA postseason now officially underway.
We are off and running to one game, I guess, pretty good, and one game, not so much last night.
Let's start with the good game, though. The nightcap in San Francisco, the Warriors and the Grizzlies in that 7-8 split in the Western Conference. Golden State up by as many as 20, JY, midway through that second quarter, but the Grizz did show their resolve. They battled back. They took an early lead early in that fourth. But then Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler, the difference to hold off Memphis. The Warriors win 121-116. Memphis does cover as a 7-point road dog. But speaking of 7, Golden State will be that 7 seed in the Western Conference playoffs. 38 points from play-in Jimmy. 37 from Steph. What did you make of the Warriors' performance last night in San Francisco?
Isn't it amazing when Jimmy Butler's engaged and Jimmy got his money, how much he is effective in this game and just overall, just ever since Ben, he went to Golden State, you just saw that team kind of hit that next gear. And now you get Jimmy Butler, Himmy playoffs, Himmy play in, Jimmy play in, whatever you want to use for it. He's here and it's now. And that becomes an extremely dangerous team in Golden State. Obviously, you still worry about the size inside. You know, obviously, when Draymond's going to act a fool. But at the end of the day, Steph now doesn't have to carry the whole game. You had Jimmy do a line share first half, 3 quarters, and then bang, bang, 2 late threes by Steph Curry to win the game. And, of course, as a coach, I just don't understand. The last one, off the curl, shot fake in the air, shot fake in the air, shot. Donnie, we talked about these guys. You don't try block jump shooters. Just put your hand in the face. He probably would have hit it anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered.
Exactly. You take a look at Golden State and you lean on the superstars, Coach, but sometimes you try to overanalyze these games, which we always like to do. And I say to myself, it's never a bad thing when your superstars show up in the playoffs, right? 38 and 37. But then I look at the final score and be like, boy, they needed every bit of Jimmy Butler last night and Steph Curry. Is that a bad thing necessarily where you're leaning on two aging veteran players to have to do that every single night to pull out victories, Coach? Or are we not worried about it because the playoff format actually allows you for extra rest, particularly in the first rounds?
Well, yes, you're going to lean on them, but you're going to want more, right? We'll talk about the Orlando game, how their star players maybe did not play well, but then the other guys filled in spots. So you're going to have opportunities where you need your bench. The surprising thing, obviously, is, it seems like Jonathan Kuminga is like out of the rotation now. We saw this down the end of the stretch where it was like oddly, like this guy really isn't getting a lot of minutes. This is the guy I thought he should be getting, $30 million, a year. So look for him to probably be moved. But when you look at this team, Draymond, he's going to do Draymond stuff, but you're going to have to get more out of Moody or Brzezinski or Buddy Hield. You're going to have to get more. You got 12 out of Gary Payton the second. Donnie, that's not something that you're going to get a lot. So some of these other guys, these ancillary pieces, are going to have their moments in this first-round series versus Houston.
And we'll talk about that first-round series, JY, in just a moment against the 2 seed in the Rockets. But the Warriors are a hefty favorite to win that series outright. Let's talk Memphis here quickly. We mentioned Ja Morant rolling that ankle last night late in the third quarter. Did return early in the fourth when the game was tied at 96-all. Ja Morant saying, no doubt about it, he will be ready to go for Friday night. Memphis does get another opportunity to become that 8th seed in the Western Conference playoffs. The Grizzlies will take on the winner of tonight's game between the Kings and the Mavericks. What do you make of Memphis's outlook on Friday night back at home in the Grind City?
As crazy as this sounds, I said going into it, I didn't think that they were going to make the playoffs. When I saw them sliding into that play-in, I thought that there was too much overcome. But you know what, Ben? They showed me something with making that comeback and getting the lead. But you know how sometimes it's you're so far behind, you make the comeback, and then you get the lead, and then you let the lead go. It's hard to kind of overcome that a second time. I think it's going to depend on the matchup, Ben. If Dallas finds a way to get an upset, then obviously I'm going to probably lean on Memphis. But I'm a big believer in the Sacramento Kings team. I know that they don't have Mike Brown, but they have to get by tonight, 4.5-point favorites. So sure, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, let's take a look at the upcoming playoff series as well, because it's a foregone conclusion. We might as well just put, Golden State into the Western Conference Finals because of how good they've been playing under Jimmy Butler, regardless of any seeding that they're playing, which includes a rested and ready number 2 seed with Houston. Now, as we talk about the disrespect, it's actually lightening a little bit this morning, Coach, at the FanDuel Sportsbook. You'll see a graphic that's going to pop up in a moment at -205. The live number now dropping to 188, and I agree with that. Let's just start here, Coach. A number 2 seed, rested and ready, playing a team that barely squeaked into the playoffs, if you will, as almost a $2 underdog. Ime Udoka has to be putting this all over the locker room, Coach.
Oh, he's got it all over the blackboard. Absolutely, Donnie. And it's really interesting. If you really look at what's going on there, they're going to look at the fact of they have no experience. Well, Fred VanVleet has a championship, right? Ime Udoka's coached in big games. I know they're a young roster, but they're going to present problems that, people don't realize. And I think the biggest thing, Donnie, is they don't have the respect because they don't have the top 15, top 20 player in the world. But they got Alperen Şengün, who is a problem and is going to give this series fits. I think it's disrespected. I think it's going to go 6 or 7 games. So I do like that it goes later. If you want to take Houston plus 1.5 games, I wouldn't blame you. I think this is going to be a long series. I'm not willing to write off a team that has played so well this season. Yeah, they may fumble it. They may give a game away, maybe the first 2. But I think this is going to be a long and very, very competitive series.
Yeah, that's kind of the thought we have as well, JY. I think that's why Donnie was setting it up as such. The 2 seed in the Houston Rockets with home floor advantage against a team that had to scrape by in the play-in tourney, booked as the outright underdog. But that was going to be the case. The Warriors entered the postseason, even being a play-in tourney team, or the third best price to win the Western Conference crown. Oklahoma City, a minus 150 odds-on favorite. The Lakers now the second best number at 6-1, and Golden State at 7-1. JY, how do you make sense of these Western Conference odds where we stand with 7 of the 8 teams figured out for the Western Conference playoffs?
I think the numbers are kind of wild, to be honest with you. The Lakers obviously 6-1 playing great basketball. Golden State is 7-1. That means they have to run through obviously the 2-7 series with Houston and then the 3-6 series between Minnesota and the Lakers. But then it's the teams under that have my attention. It's the Clippers at 12-1. Listen, if Kawhi plays like Kawhi and is healthy, they could beat anybody. The Nuggets are extremely dangerous because they have the best player in the world. And then there's Minnesota sitting at 20-1. In my heart, this may be the spicy take of the day, I think they're beating the Lakers. I have this feeling that Ant's got this next level that's ready to come out. I think Rudy Gobert is going to be a problem. They have enough defenders to kind of deal with the Lakers. And at the end of the day, if Ant is dialed in, Ant could be the most dynamic player in the series. I like them to win the series. I also like Ant. I think it was plus 185 last night to lead the series in scoring. I think he's going to go for 30+. No one can stop them on the other side with the Lakers.
It is interesting now because of a little bit of movement for that series between the Warriors and the Rockets. Golden State not greater than a $2 favorite, but at minus 188. The strongest favorite for the 3 series we already know in the opening round out west. The Lakers at a minus 196 outright price to knock off the T-Wolves. By the way, the Clippers opened as a series underdogs against the Nuggets. They're now the favorites to the Eastern Conference next.
Fantasy baseball. Let's be honest, George. There's a lot of things antiquated about this game that we love. Man, I would love to try some new little wrinkles here. And so for Sam's question here on the show, I think it's at least fair to ask the question with catchers in fantasy baseball. And sometimes we're playing in 2 catcher leagues. Why at this stage of the game? I have no idea. If you're still doing it, you're behind in the times. Buy or sell, catchers should get a fantasy point for throwing out runners trying to steal. So essentially awarding a defensive play to get an offensive point in fantasy. You going to buy or sell this?
I mean, so this never even crossed my mind. I hate the catcher position because they get hurt so much. You play in a 2 catcher league, I don't know what to tell you. You know, it's like, what are we doing here? There are not 24, so we get 12-team league. There are not 24 catchers to draft in baseball. There's just not. Although I'm the first person to tell you, Herrera's probably out there in a bunch of leagues there because we didn't see that power coming. Should he get a point? I think he's going to do this, by the way. Why a point? What are you throwing out? 1, 2 base runners a week? It's 2 points. Who cares? You know, should it be more? I mean, if we're going to do this, should we do it right? Should it be 5 points? You know, so I would probably go that direction. If you're going to do it right. Give it more points. And by the way, then let's go further. You make an error, you're losing points. No one gets an error anymore. All right. If you get an error, it means you really screwed up. I was watching that Yankee-Pittsburgh game yesterday because I think it was who cares? Somebody hit the ball hard to Isaiah Felifa at shortstop. He didn't have to move, but he dropped it. They called it a hit because he hit the ball hard with 3 hopper. Oh, hard hit, error. So let's do that too. So yeah, I'm kind of on board with this, but you need more than one. It can't just be a point that's meaningless. You need more than one.
Fantasy sports today. Weekends starting at 8 a.m. Only on SportsGrid.
To the Eastern Conference play-in tournament we go. Last night in Orlando, our opening game of 2 to start the NBA postseason. The Magic fully dominant against the Atlanta Hawks. 120-95, the victory for Orlando. They easily cover as a 6-point home favorite. The Magic will be the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference playoffs with an opening round set against the reigning champs in the Celtics. We'll talk about what we expect in that series in just a moment. But a 25-point win for Orlando last night, JY. Thoroughly impressive throughout. And the Anthony's off the bench. Cole Anthony, team high 26 points. Anthony Black approaching 20 points as well. What stood out to you about the Magic's performance against Atlanta last night?
The complete opposite of the Golden State Warriors win, where you had the two top players in Banchero and Wagner shoot a combined 10 of 28, 0 of 8 from the floor, or of 8 from 3. So then you're thinking to yourself, oh no, like where are we getting scoring from? Well, Wendell Carter Jr. was absolutely fantastic with 19 points with a plus 28, 8 of 12, dominated inside. And then you got the play out of the Coles. Cole Anthony, and obviously Anthony Black. Their performances were outstanding. And I just think what you got out of them is a team that also grinds you defensively, right? You saw, obviously, they jump out to a 15-point lead, up by 14 at the break. Oh, no, here comes Trey with a huge third quarter, 12 out of the 26 points for Atlanta. And then you saw them just completely tighten the screws defensively and then do something we haven't seen out of Orlando. Get out and transition, run. These guys, Cole Anthony has been around the league for a while. This guy has always been his ability to score the ball. The problem I've had in the past with Cole Anthony, honestly, Ben, is I feel like sometimes he takes questionable shots. What's more impressive for me than the 26 points is the 6 assists, the ability to drive the ball and find and dish and get other guys involved. That's what I thought was really important out of Cole Anthony, a guy that could score it, but also that can dish it and get other guys involved.
Defense wins in the playoffs. We know that, and certainly the metric for the Orlando Magic is they're going to play good defense. They dropped 120 points last night, which was fantastic, but you always look forward to that under 100 performance for the defense, which they got once again. But as we digress into the next series, it looks like why are we even wasting time playing this series? A minus 7,000 price on the Celtics to advance over the Orlando Magic. It looks like it's supposed to be, Coach, a de facto sweep. So before we get into will the Celtics win the series, which they probably will, what can the Orlando Magic do against the Boston Celtics to make this a competitive series?
They got to lean on their defense. They have to be dialed in defensively, and he didn't score the ball well. Defensively, Paulo Banchero, if you watch that game, I saw him so engaged in pick and roll coverage and how he's defending that I was like, damn, I didn't even know Paulo had it in him to do this. So, listen, the way that Jamal Mosley coaches his team is they're going to be a tougher out than people expect. I think Boston's going to absolutely win the series, but can I see Orlando getting a game and giving Boston a scare in another game? Absolutely. I mean, they hang their hats on the defensive end of the floor. And when defense is your absolute, you're always going to give yourself some sort of chance to win. And let's be honest, guys, during the regular season, they have played. Orlando did. Listen, we can't count the game, the 20-point win on the 9th. But they do have a 108-104 win during the season. They're going to find a way to keep this close and maybe steal a game, maybe 2 in this series.
So that's the question, JY, because we see what the odds makers are expecting. Minus 7,000 for the C's to win it outright. You look at the series spread. You look at the series correct score. Boston a win in 4. That is a sweep, is the most likely option. So you're calling it now. Orlando wins at least 1 game to at least get to 5. How do you see this series? What would be the official prediction?
I said it's going to go 4-1. If I could have got it plus 3.5 at under 150, I would jump in there. But if you're asking me series correct score, I think it's 4-1. I think Orlando finds a way to win 1. And then if you really think about it, this is one of the best teams defensively, and Boston shoots such a crazy amount of threes. All you need is 1 game for them to go off. If you think about the 108-104 loss, I think Boston shot about 23 or 24% from the three-point line. If you're able to defend the 3, Ben, and get them to get misses and secure the first rebound, you could steal a game. If I can get it under 150, I'm going plus 3.5. But if you're asking me series score, I'm going 4-1. They'll get one game.
By the way, Coach, I'm going to ask you this question, too, because being in the 90s where the NBA was more defensive and physical, I was talking to Ben a little bit earlier today. Like, we remember the New York Knicks and the Miami Heat series. Like, hey, you're going to have 86 to 85 games, 79, 78 games. Did you see the total for the opening number for this game between the Magic and the Celtics? On the FanDuel Sportsbook, it's 206.5. Other outlets, Coach, 205.5. We can't get a game that low, can we? Are we looking at two teams that might not get to 100 points? Get out of here.
If you're Orlando, that's the way you have to play it. You have to play it. Listen, Donnie, I remember when the Knicks, if you got to 70 points, we're like, offensive explosion here. Alonzo Mourning, Patrick Ewing killing each other all game. But this is the way Jamal Mosley knows that he's got to play this. He's got to be physical. They have to defend, and they got to get timely stops. If there is a team that can make Boston sweat a little bit in the first round in that lower half, it is Orlando because of their ability to defend. They're going to slow the game down. I think, listen, it'll probably go over the first game, but maybe if we get some crazy number and it goes up, I think those games around 210 is going to be right around where it's going to be. Absolutely.
And the Magic are a 14.5-point road dog inside TD Garden on Sunday afternoon. If it does stay under or right around 206.5, that, of course, is Orlando's best chance of covering a very large spread in the opening game of that set. JY, as we see in the Celtics and Magic series, as we see for the Cleveland Cavaliers as they await the 8th seed, the Hawks, the Bulls, or the Heat, they'll probably be a hefty favorite. The Celtics at minus 140, Cleveland at a plus 175 number. As we get ready for the Eastern Conference playoffs, we're still expecting the Celtics and the Cavs more than likely to meet up in the Eastern Conference Finals. We'll get JY's thoughts on what we have tonight in play-in tournament action. A doubleheader in Chicago and Sacramento. That's next on the Early Line.
Want to play roulette? Here's a tip. European roulette has a lower house edge than American style. The lower the house edge, the better shot you have at winning. Most online casinos offer European roulette. So, if I were you, I'd get spinning. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Okay, what tools can you use to measure those things a bit? And that's where you have like force plates and 3D motion and you know, launch monitors, things like that. But that's all just sort of like measuring what's happening. That doesn't necessarily explain why one guy's really good and another guy's not really good. And that's where there's still kind of like this ongoing, how do you like continue to do research to understand that better? And I think that's going to last well past my lifetime.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
I'm still optimistic eventually this will happen and they'll get it together. I mean, if Florida can get their act together, Sam, with the tribes, I believe that California can too.
It would bring a lot of money to the tribes, which is also something they really care about. It's an $8 billion market. Conservatively, it could be even more when it legalizes. The sports books would be sharing revenue with the tribes, essentially doing all their operations and forking over a percentage directly to the tribes.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
King of the featherweight division for the BKFC, that is King Kai Stewart, who is joining us now, still the champion of the featherweights.
Though he did get dominated, he was still throwing big shots. He landed a lot bigger shots on Palomino than he did me, and I wasn't really impressed. Palomino's getting older. He is definitely a former GOAT. He has done amazing things in this sport, but it's just my time.
Only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on this Wednesday morning on the early line on SportsGrid. Play-in tourney action on this Wednesday evening. A doubleheader of games once again. Our 9-10 matchups. In Chicago, it's the Bulls in the Heat. In California's capital, in Sacramento, it's the Kings and the Mavericks. Speaking of Dallas, they're a play-in tourney team despite trading away Luka Doncic and losing Kyrie Irving for the remainder of this season. As Dallas gets ready to embark on the postseason, Nico Harrison, Dallas GM, yesterday, along with the Mavs CEO and Rick Welts, meeting with a select amount of media. No cameras, no audio recordings. Of course, that is always a good sign for a very transparent media affair. Nico Harrison was asked, JY, still about the Luka Doncic blockbuster deal. Just the second time he has spoken about this trade since the deal came about in early February, and said, quote, "I still have no regrets about the trade." When Nico Harrison opens his mouth, JY, what is your reaction?
Shut it. Maybe just pull Leon Rose. Have no press conference. Leon Rose, thank goodness the Knicks are good, because he hasn't had a press conference, I think, in what, 2.5 years? But to me, listen, Nico Harrison, stop doubling, tripling down. It was a huge mistake with this trade. We all know it. Just own it. But he won't. But the sad thing about it is as much as I love Anthony Davis and I love Kyrie Irving, this is going to be over tonight. I know they are getting 4.5, 5.5 points. Guys, I would be shocked if this is a 10-point plus win by Sacramento. I look at this team in Dallas. They're broken. They're broken. I don't see a lot of faith in this team. I don't see a lot of faith in that organization. And my bigger question is two things. Number one, try to do something else. By the way, why did Nico Harrison get Austin Reeves in the trade? Someone has not answered that one for me yet. I don't know why.
Here's what I like to do, because the questions I have about the little gathering yesterday, like if you are the media, you have a chance to stonewall this guy. And I don't mean don't show up. If there's no media recordings and there's no actual TV that you can use, why did the media go in there, ask him all those questions and come out and be like, what a press conference that was? Nico just went up there and said, the guy he traded away in Luka Doncic was the worst individual player he's ever seen in his life, and he stands by that comment, because if nobody could prove it, who could prove it behind the scenes? You could have drilled that guy last night in that. Amazing coming out of there. Going in there, nobody had a teeth. Like, why was it off camera, Coach? That's what I want to know. No recording devices. What did he want? Why did he just hand a press release out on an email that says, here's my thoughts, no questions, I'm out of here? What was the point of having no recorders and no cameras? I don't understand.
Oh, I love spicy Donnie. Let me button my jacket up. Yeah. I'm into this. You got me into this. Wait, do we even know it actually happened? Maybe it didn't happen.
Correct.
There's no recording. There's no cameras. Did they even let him have a pen and a piece of paper? What
landed on the moon? Come on.
Yeah, listen. At the end of the day, it's a joke of what went on yesterday in Dallas, and it's amazing. When the Lakers played Dallas, he was like under the tunnel, all buttoned up and hearing the boom.
Yeah.
And then when he gets a press conference, he runs for the hills. It just shows what's going on in Dallas, and obviously they will put out their pain and misery tonight versus Sacramento.
So, yeah, JY, that's your take, right? That Sacramento tonight at home, the Kings a 4.5-point favorite in California's capital, absolutely hammer Dallas. How come?
Because who's left? Listen, Anthony Davis is going to be fantastic. Clay's got to play out of his mind. They don't have enough else there. I think Sabonis will do a decent job on the boards. You have Zavine and DeRozan, too much scoring there. And a Sacramento Kings team that I thought was going to win that division will find a way to win. 4.5 points. Like I said, 8+ points. I think they beat them up late.
And as we look at the first game tonight, JY, in Chicago, basically a pick'em between the Bulls and the Heat. Who wins to advance to Atlanta on Friday?
It's such a great story of how Chicago's played, the elevation of Kobe White's game. Obviously, what Josh Giddey's done the second half of the year. Vucevic playing defense. Billy Donovan's still there. It's all fantastic. I love everything about Chicago, but I'm taking the Miami Heat. I'm going to lean on that Heat culture. I know they've not been good, but I'm going to take the Miami Heat on the money line to get the win.
The Bulls 15-5 straight up down the stretch. to earn a home floor advantage tonight in the United Center against Miami. JY, as always, we appreciate the time, my friend. Thank you for being here on this Wednesday on the early line. A fadeaway to the break, a fadeaway to hour number 3, our third and final up next.
Simon, Nico!